Continue our driver media availabilities in advance of Sunday's Hellman's 500 here at Talladega Superspeedway. We're joined now by the driver of the number 22 Shell Pennzoil Ford, Joey Logano. Joey, welcome. Obviously, the stakes this weekend really couldn't be higher for a lot of folks. How much of a confidence lift do you get coming here as a defending race winner?
I think that definitely helps, knowing you can win here, right? We've had a good, solid speedway program at Team Penske the last couple of years, and when you come to Talladega, you get excited about it. It's not quite like that for everybody, but for us, we get excited about speedway racing and and the opportunity that presents itself this weekend. So, ready to get on the racetrack, see what we got.
Excellent. We'll open it up to questions for Joey. We'll start in the back here with Jerry, then we'll go to Jordan and work our way up.
Jerry Jordan, Performance Racing Network and Kicking the Tires. You're tied for the cutoff spot. Technically, you're ahead, but you know that there's going to be a concerted effort by some to beat you and to knock you out. What kind of pressure is that for you, and how do you and Brad work together to make sure that you move on?
Well, I don't really think about how people were trying to knock me out. I think about how I'm going to knock other people out. Right? That's my attitude. If I'm on defense, we're not going to win. We better stay on offense. That's what this 22 team does. We're going to go out there and race hard. And that's what we know how to do when we come to speedways. Some other guys can do it good the other way, but for us, we're going to go out there, race hard, try to stay up front. Try to keep making our car better for the end of the race and be there at the end.
We'll go now to Jordan.
Joey Jordan Bianchi, SBNation.com. Going back to 2004 when Brad won here, you had a win coming into this race, and you did a lot to help Brad win that day. Was there a concentrated effort on your part to help him out? And before the race, did you guys talk what you guys were going to do? And can you take me through that?
Yeah, that day there was. Brad was in a do-or-die situation, and I had a lock. And so our main goal was to get Brad through. That was our goal. That was there was a lot of talk about how we help each other and how we can put him in a position to make the moves at the end of the race. And I gave him my commitment that I was going to be there for him. I was going to push him along. I was going to do everything that I knew how to do to help him win. That situation will happen throughout a lot of other teams this week. But it's something that Brad and I need to have an understanding that, hey, yeah, we're going to help each other as much as we can, but we both kind of got to win. So, it's a little bit different than that race. But at the same time, we're good teammates. We're going to race each other and we're going to help each other like we do every single week.
We'll come up front here to Tom, then Bob, then Jeff, and work our way back.
Joey, Tom Jensen, FoxSports.com. What's the strength of your restrictor plate program? Brad's one. Got a higher winning percentage than any driver in history on restrictor plate tracks, and you've done very well here. Why are you guys good?
Well, I think there's a lot of different reasons for it. Having fast race cars has become key, I think, in these speedway races. I think we've had some fast cars lately. I think that helps. I think having a good understanding of the draft is something that's been a big deal. We were able to win a couple speedway races last year, so I feel confident that we still know how to do this. But I think having that relationship with your spotter and understanding what happens in the draft and why you're going to do things, and understanding what information you need to hear and what is useless information. So and clarifying that as much as you can before the race, during the race, even after the race, to help you through the next one. So I think speedway racing isn't as much of a crapshoot as I think a lot of people like to believe it is. Sounds like it's just an excuse to me. I think there's a lot of strategy and a lot of knowledge that has to go into playing this game.
We'll go to Bob, then Jeff, then Holly.
Do you know if either of you or Brad have the 2017 new Footbox car with you for this weekend? And what did your position in the chase determine whether you went with 2017 or 2016?
I don't know. I don't know. I can't answer that honestly. I can honestly say we're not going to change our car lineup depending on what spot we were in for this race. But honestly, I don't know. I focus on things that I can affect and things that involve me, and I'm sure, yes, you can make an argument that involves me quite a bit, but it doesn't really affect on me and the way I'm going to approach this race and race. So I didn't really get in the middle of that.
We'll go to Jeff, then Holly, then Dustin.
Joey, I'm back here behind the cameras, but I'm wondering about strategy-wise. There's a bunch of cars on Sunday who already have pretty decent points leads, and I know that, like, Kyle Busch has gotten in trouble before when he tried to run at the back, and then he got run into and he ended up missing the chase. But for most of them, why not run in the back if they have points cushions? I mean, why would you get yourself in the mix there?
Oh, I think it depends on what your situation is. Everyone's situation is different, right? The bigger points cushion you have, you can argue that you can afford to go up there at a race, or you can argue that why would I go up there and race? But last I kind of checked, this thing's called a race, and I believe racers race, in my opinion. But everyone has their own way of doing it. So I don't know. I mean, I've seen people ride around in the back and crash. I've seen guys running up front and crash. It happens. But I think being aware of your surroundings becomes very important throughout the race. And is there a safe place? I don't know if there really is a safe place, especially towards the end of these things. It becomes chaotic. That being in the middle is definitely not the safe place. So you got to be one or the other. And maybe if you had a decent enough cushion that maybe you would play it safe, but I can't make decisions for what other drivers are going to do throughout this weekend.
Let's go to Holly, and then we'll come up front to Dustin.
Thanks. Holly Kane, NASCAR.com. In the middle, in the
Hey,
back.
there you are.
Hey. I just wondered if you could share with us, how much different it does feel this year versus last year when you came in with all of the wins. I mean, what is, your demeanor? What is how does that feel different for you this year with so much more on the line and it obviously being such a different circumstance, I guess?
Honestly, not much different, which is a good thing. I feel like our team's in a good spot. We had a great run last weekend in Kansas. We did make up some points. We're in a great spot with having a really bad Charlotte. So our team has a lot of confidence in themselves. We know we can do this. We're coming into a racetrack, like I said, that we know we're good at. We know we can win here. Is the situation different? Obviously it is. Last year we had, we were locked in. There was nothing to worry about. This year is obviously we're not, and but we still have the same goal. So why should we approach the race any different?
We'll go to Dustin, then we're going to go to Steve across there.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Joey, as you noted, a number of accidents can happen at the start of the field, and we've seen that in the past. So in one sense, as you say, there isn't a safe place. So how do you find a safe place during a race? And sometimes I guess that could be 25th or 12th, depending who you're around. And two, as the race progresses, how much do you cross that line because how much do you get out of that comfort zone, and how uncomfortable? I don't know if that's the right word. Does it get?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you said it in there. Depending on who you're around, a lot of times know who you're racing. Know who you feel comfortable with, and when you're around other cars, it maybe not be who you're driving against. It might be just the way their car handles. And might say, I won't be around him. His car looks loose, or he looks out of control for some reason. And kind of understanding that scenario and what position you're in. And there's times in the race that you can back out of it and say, okay, let's wait for this to calm down a little bit, and then we'll try to work our way back up. But the whole race, you weigh out in your mind risk versus reward, right? And that's just what you think about is, am I willing to take this risk? And if I do, what do I gain? And you think about that when you're trying to make a move and say, am I going to make this move to take the lead, and am I going to go back to 20th if it doesn't work? All right, I'm going to weigh that out. Is it making a move that's going to put you in a really tight spot and you can possibly crash to gain 3 or 4 spots? You got to weigh that out. Does that make sense? A lot of that changes throughout the race. When it's early in the race, a lot more people are conservative and say, it's probably not worth it at this point in the race. But at the end of the race, everyone's trying to get every spot they can. And depending on your point situation, you're going to have to make decisions knowing once you collect all that data from inside the car and kind of understand the situation, you'll make those decisions off of that.
We'll go to the right to Steve.
Yeah, hi, Steve Hummer with the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Just curious about racing in a place like this. How much, if you put a percentages or proportion on it, how much of it is skill, preparation, and how much of it is just good fortune or bad fortune?
I think it's all skill and preparation, 100%.
100%.
In my opinion,
There's no such thing as racing luck in your mind?
you create your own luck. That's what I think. You know what I mean? There might be a chance that you run over something or something happens, but some things are just meant to be. Some things aren't. But if you can work and do everything you can do and prepare yourself to go out there and be the best, then that's all you can do. And I feel like that's kind of, that makes it, in my opinion, a lot about preparation.
We'll stay on the right, and then we'll come over here to Tom.
Jonathan Merriman, NASCAR.com. Joey, races here at Talladega tend to take on their own personalities. In the spring, we had something 35, 36 cars end up with accident damage at the end of the race. If you look at the points now, can you kind of predict what personality a race can have in terms of people's desperation, and what do you think this race will be like Sunday?
Yeah, I think, the fall Talladega race, a lot of times, because there's a lot of different situations going on the racetrack, usually is a little bit calmer than the spring race. I think a lot of times just because some guys, like we talked earlier, some guys may just ride around and say, okay, just don't crash today and I make it through, and other guys may say have to win, but they got to be there at the end to win. So I think the race, there's a lot to lose for a lot of people, and they may not make as crazy as things going on, and there might be some non-chasers that don't want to get in the middle of it, and saying, I don't want to be the one that takes this guy out, I think this race seems to be usually a little bit calmer till the end. At the end of the race, that's when people get desperate, and when that happens, people make aggressive moves to make it happen. You got to expect that. So I would personally expect, and it'll probably be a crash lap 10 after I say this, but I think it's going to go green for a while, and everyone's kind of settle in, and then at the end, I would assume it getting crazy, and there'd probably be a lot of crashes then.
Joe, we'll go over here to your left to Tom.
Tom Menino, WVTM 13. This is the last year before the schedule change where Talladega moves in the chase and moves back. With the unpredictability of the track, are you in favor of that move to move up the schedule, shake it up?
To move up the schedule, I don't understand your question.
Talladega's going from not the last race in the round
To the second. Yeah, I think that's a good thing. I kind of like knowing kind of what you have to do after Talladega, as much as you say you can control your own destiny here, which you can, but you can't as much as you could at Kansas, right? Maybe not as much. So, a lot of times it'd be kind of nice to know, hey, you're in a must-win situation and you can do a strategy play at a racetrack at like a Kansas or a Charlotte or whatever it may be. A lot of times it's a little bit, I don't want to say easier to call the race, but knowing what that situation is here, your strategy is kind of stuck here of what the rest of the pack does. But when you go to other racetracks like that and you're do or die, you may make some different calls that may have a better reward.
We're going to go back here to the middle, and then we'll finish up with Matt Weaver. Right back. There you go.
Caleb Whistler, Speedway Digest. So blocking has become a prevalent part of super speedway racing this year. How prevalent do you think it will be with this being an elimination race in the chase?
Blocking? Yeah, I thought you said blogging, and I was like, we're blogging. Blocking, yes, is always going to be a big player in speedway racing. What goes on behind you dictates what you're going to do and what happens in front of you a lot of times. So I'd say there's more time that you look in your mirror than you look of what's going on in front of you, because these decisions are made on what's going on behind you. maybe not necessarily as much blocking. It's just kind of understanding where the runs are coming from and getting into those lines. And yeah, it's going to happen all day. You'll see the leader going back and forth from lane to lane, trying to block them from getting on the outside of them or inside of them. And you'll see it going throughout the pack of guys just trying to keep themselves in line, because a lot of times if you kind of get off your game for a minute, you'll get, I call it snookered, but you get, someone will pop out and put you, 3 wide in the middle or 3 wide on the bottom where there's no one behind you, and you'll lose all those spots. So if you don't stay in line and stay up in your mirror and be up on your game to make those blocks, you lose a lot of spots really, really quick.
Joey, thank you for joining us. Good luck this weekend.
All right, thanks, guys.